was like, I want to flee the appearance of evil. Like, I want to really be a good example. And no matter what I was doing, I knew what we were doing or not doing, but I wanted to be able just to be like, yeah, like, it's cool. So the last thing on that topic, I just want to say, like, you know, we've all messed up. Like, if you're sitting there feeling super guilty about past relationships, stuff you've done, like, do not leave here with that weight on your shoulders. God loves us so much. Like, his love never fails. We sang that earlier, love that song. And I really want you to see that if you've, you know, gone further than you would have liked to or done stuff that, you know, you regret, God forgives you. He totally forgives you, and he's just waiting for you to come to him with your brokenness and ask him to come into it, and you can always start over. You know, there are times where, like, oh, we felt like, man, that wasn't, you know, the best. That wasn't maybe honoring to God. But we asked for forgiveness from each other and from God, and we were like, we're going to move on. We're going to try to, you know, pursue God, and he's always there to receive you. Like, he's not angry at you. He's looking on you with compassion because he has the best plan for you. So, the last principle I have for you is one of my favorites. The third principle is allow community to be a part of your relationship. Allow community to be a part of your relationship. Is this also frustrating? Yes. It can be frustrating, but it's so essential. What I mean by this is you need to find someone who will ask you the hard questions, okay? Yeah, I don't want someone to ask me, what have I been doing with my significant other? But, you know, that will only help you learn to live for God more. We can't, even on our faith, even aside from relationships, let's forget we're talking about relationships for a second. We need friends to help us try to live for God, right? To try to help us understand God better, understand how he wants us to live our life. This only applies more in this area of relationships. So for me, it was my small group co-leader, who happened to be my best friend, Anna Grace. She actually was dating another guy at Tech too, so we both had boyfriends at Tech, and we would ask each other, you know, how's the physical side of your relationship doing? But we also knew that if we messed up, like, we had someone there to pray with us and to be like, you know what, like, it's okay, and we could just encourage each other. So I don't know if you have people like that already in your life that you could ask to, you know, to be accountable, for you to be accountable to, but that is a really good thing that will help you pursue God in your relationship. So a good way to get connected to that is maybe a discipleship relationship. Maybe someone you meet with weekly, study the Bible, and they can ask you that question. Maybe it's just a roommate. Maybe it's a good friend you see a lot. And then lastly, small groups. Small groups are something university does on campus. Awesome opportunity to find friends who want to pursue God in all areas of life and could help you pursue him in this area of life. Yeah. So that's true love, was Anna Grace, my friend, saying, hey Helen, like, I'm willing to challenge you on this issue, and me being willing to challenge her too. It was hard with pride. I didn't want to be asked that question. Didn't want to think she had anything to say to me, but it was awesome because guess what? She stood next to me on my wedding day, and I knew, hey, she helped me pursue God in my dating relationship and honor him, and she'll be there through our marriage, telling me, hey, how's your marriage going? You know, how are you pursuing God yourself and together? So those are my 3 main principles that really helped us. Lastly, I just want to say, if you're not in a dating relationship right now, Thomas already kind of talked to you and said, you know, listen up. Hopefully you've learned some things. But I want to give you a little challenge. I just want you to learn to be good friends with the opposite sex. Like, just do it. Like, just have, you know, coffee dates. Just engage with, you know, a guy or girl that you don't know, because these relationships are really good for us. Thomas and I were good friends. Like, that's how we even started having a friendship. You know, that's what our relationship grew out of. And that's crucial to dating and to marriage, because guess what? Sex isn't going to be as awesome as it is, you know, when you're young. Like, you're going to get older and things change and attractions fade. So what are you going to have to do? You're going to have to talk to each other, right? You're going to have to, you know, that's what you're going to have is conversation, friends. You're living together. You're spending so much time together. You want to be friends with whoever you end up dating or marrying. Lastly on that, I just want to say, guys, ask a girl to lunch or to get coffee or do something like that, okay? Like, that's my challenge for you. Just do it. But I'm going to help you out, because I'm going to tell the girls right now, don't freak out when a guy asks you to get coffee or go to lunch, okay? Like, I love being a woman, but I also know that women, we have the tendency to overanalyze, to like assume that, oh my gosh, a guy asked me to coffee, we're gonna get married. Is that true? Like, no, maybe you were just the closest human being he saw and he didn't want to get coffee alone, okay? And if he likes you, he will tell you. Then you gotta tell him. And if, you know, they don't like you, that'll come out later. They'll be nice about it. Alright, so those are some principles, you know, that helped us pursue God in our relationship. Helped us lay a foundation for where we are now, which is we're married, we're loving life, we're learning. You know, it's awesome to think about how far God's taken us in our relationship, and it's cool to think about how He really has had our best interests in mind and the best plan that we could have imagined for ourselves. And He has the best plan for you and your relationships. You know, whatever that's going to look like, it's going to be what's best for you. This is just another area of your life that He wants you to trust Him with. I know we have so many concerns and worries and thoughts about our future marriages and relationships, but really it's just a whole nother part of life to learn to trust God with and to glorify Him in, as a Christian. We in our marriage really want to show the world a glimpse of God's unconditional love, so that's how we're trying to love each other. We annoy each other a lot, but you know, we continue just to love each other through that, and hopefully that will show God's love to the world, and we can be a witness to His power and who He is. And the only way we can do that is because He's done that for us. He loves us unconditionally, and has given us Jesus Christ to die for our sin, be raised again, so that we can have a relationship with Him. Yeah, so regardless of, you know, whatever we've done, God loves us. So I'm going to ask Thomas to come back up here. We're actually not done yet. Are you guys sick of us? I hope so. We have a few more things we want to talk about. I actually had student leaders give us questions, some commonly asked questions about dating and marriage. So I have a bunch here. For sake of time, we're not going to talk about all of them, but we have a few.
I'll go first. It says, I'm not even sure who wrote these. It says, sex. Is it really better if you wait? That's impossible to know. I was thinking about that. I was like, is it better? But if someone says it's better if you wait, then they're lying, because you don't know. You either wait or you don't. I think the root, I'm not trying to make fun of anyone who asked that question. It's a really good question. But I think the root of that is, I think the heart of this question is, what's better if you do wait? And once again, kind of hard to tell, but I just think saving that intimacy can be really special, and kind of figuring it out together. Both of you have no one to compare each other to. There's no comparison in your mind. It's just, I think it's much more intimate if you do wait. But once again, if you haven't waited, don't feel like, well, I missed my chance, I screwed up. God is completely able to redeem, to help us, you know, overcome that stuff. So by no means feel like, well, I messed up, I'm out. So that's number one.
I want to say a little bit about that, because I think that at the root of it, it just shows us that we have a warped view of sex, right? Our view is all jacked up from culture. So what does better even mean? Like, what does that even mean, right? But what I do want to say is that God's plan for sex is to be had within marriage, and so ultimately it's going to be best within marriage, because His plan is what's best for you. Because anything outside of it, if you've had sexual experiences outside of it, you've probably had shame come along with that, regret, a lot of negative feelings. Maybe it wasn't a good experience. And so I think God really designed sex to just be something awesome that helps bring you together as a married couple, and to experience the best of that, you know, that's in marriage. Because you're married to each other your whole lives. You get to grow and learn together. Yep.
Next question. How do you know if a relationship is unhealthy? And how do you get out of unhealthy relationships? That's a good one. It's a really good one. I would say if the person you're dating, if you feel like your friends notice a change in you, if you feel like you have to hide them from your friends, from your small group, from the people you hang out with, if it has to be hush-hush, if it has to be a secret, that's a sign. I mentioned earlier, what is your relationship based on? If you feel like it's based on sex, it's based on the physical. If you feel like they're asking you to do things that you know a true friend won't ask you to do, I mean, I would say that's definitely down that path. But that's pretty difficult. What do you think? How do you know if a relationship's unhealthy?
I think what you said is good. A lot of, if you don't want to tell people about it, I had an unhealthy relationship in college, and it was just really more of an emotional dependency on this guy, and we didn't, we weren't dating, and then we realized he was like, maybe we should date, but then it was like, no, we're just like too close of friends. And we actually ended up dating, and we only dated a week, and it was terrible. We were like, worst decision ever. Like, why do we date? So, I don't know. I think you just have to learn boundaries with yourself. Do you see your friends anymore? I think that's a good question. Like, is all your life consumed by this person? Because that's not healthy either. Like I said, allow community into your relationship. And ask your friends. They'll probably tell you whether or not it's unhealthy.
So, Helen, I've been meaning to ask you, what's so bad about the hookup culture at college? If both people hooking up understand it's nothing serious. I didn't come up with that.
I think what's bad about the hookup culture at college is it gives you a warped perspective on sex. Again, any sexual experience like outside of marriage is going to distort your view of it. Some people have really awesome hookups, and they're like, man, that was amazing. Like, I bet if we had sex, it would be even more amazing. And then it's not. So what does that mean, about sex? And I think the way that, it says if both people understand it's nothing serious, it's never nothing serious, because sexuality is really connected to your spirituality. Because God designed it to be that way, and God said He created Adam and Eve, and they were naked and felt no shame. Like, that's awesome. Like, that's God's plan for sex, is for you to be with your spouse and for you to feel no shame. And I think a lot of shame comes with the hookup culture. A lot of performance. Like, I have to perform for you, and that's not God's desire for sex. It's it's not supposed to be about performance, and it's about loving each other and caring for each other.
Nice. What does it look like? What does it look like and mean to have a Christ-centered relationship? I think I hit on that. Obviously, it doesn't mean have a perfect relationship. I just think it means including Christ in the decisions, in the directions you're heading, in decisions you make, everything you do, asking, how can I honor God in this? How can we include Christ in the middle of this? Which certainly isn't easy, and I think it looks different to every person, but just having Him in your relationship, including Him, stuff like that. Obviously, praying together is good. Being a part of a community is good. I think that's all positive stuff.
Sure. Okay, how did we know each other was the one? Who's asked that question before, like the one, or like wondered about that?
It's awkward.
Right, okay, sorry. I mean, yeah, so, I mean, I definitely thought about that. As a Christian, you're growing up and you're like, who's the one? Well, you know, if Thomas wasn't the one before, he is now, because we're married. You know, when you seal the deal, that's when they become the one.
I don't think God, I mean, I could be completely wrong. I don't think God has one person who you have the opportunity to marry, and if you miss it, your life is ruined. And you know, I think we have this idea, this romanticized idea that there's one person out there for me. And maybe there is sometimes, but I really think, you know, God has a plan. He's going to work things out. Just don't put too much pressure on yourself and too much fear to say, oh, if I miss this opportunity up, what if they're the one? What if I screwed it up? I don't think that's how God operates.
I agree with that.
That's it.
What does it mean to be in love? I think that question, again, like culture has really romanticized the in love aspect. We definitely are in love with each other, but I think what that question's referring to is like, dude, I met this girl, I think I'm in love with her. I met her yesterday. Hey, I just met you, you know. This is crazy. I love you. Okay. And I guess with that, like,